Do not overreact. Calm is contagious. People want to do business with people who are not too high on the highs, they're not too low on the lows, because they know reality is somewhere in between. Today, I want to talk to you about dealing with people problems. If you are in a leadership role or you want to be in a leadership role, there are going to be leadership problems that come up. And the way you deal with these problems is what's going to either lead to you blowing someone out of your organization, you losing trust with them in your organization, or you building a stronger and more bonded environment from the adversity that pops up. One thing that I've always tried to do is turn every single problem into a bonding moment for the organization. Every negative that pops up into a bonding moment for the organization. I always try to do that. But the problem is, if we don't deal with these people problems correctly, it can lead to negativity. It can lead to cancers in your business. It can lead to gossip. It could lead to people not wanting to be in your culture or in your business. So this is imperative that you dial these things in if you want to build a big team, if you want to build a large organization, and if you want to build an incredible environment. So let's talk about it. 8 points when it comes to dealing with people problems. The first one is don't make it about you. Don't make it about you. Stop making it personal. I think one of the big mistakes that people make in leadership is they take everything personal as if it was a personal attack against them. But you got to realize that most people are just operating from their own perspective, and they're not even thinking about you because they're thinking about themselves. Everybody in this world thinks about themselves first. You have to remember that. They think about themselves first. They're not thinking about you. They're not thinking about their neighbor. They're not thinking about their friend. Everyone thinks about themselves first. Why? Because they're in their body. They're in their mind. They're with them 24/7. And so it's impossible for them to not think about themselves. And so just realize that if something comes up and it affects you in a negative way, 9 times out of 10, they weren't even thinking about you at all. They were thinking about bettering themselves, improving their own situation. And then you just happen to get the backlash of it. And so if you want to deal with people problems in a positive way, a big part of it is taking yourself out of it and just realizing that not everything's a personal attack. Because if you take it as a personal attack, you'll get reactive, you'll get responsive, you will get emotional, you'll probably say things you shouldn't say, you'll do things you shouldn't do, and none of that betters the situation. All it does is hurt the situation. So once again, when people problems pop up, even if it affects you in a negative way, do not take it personal. Think with the solution in mind. Number 2, seek guidance. Seek guidance from people who have dealt with similar situations or people that are at a higher level than you or with a bigger organization than you, because I guarantee you that if somebody has a bigger business than you, they've already faced the problem that you're facing right now. Every person with a big business has gone through tons of problems. Every person with a big sales team has dealt with tons of people problems. So there's most likely not a lot that somebody with a smaller business will encounter that somebody with a bigger business has not already encountered. This is why you got to seek guidance, seek mentorship, seek leadership from those doing better than you, because they can help you through the situation a lot faster. And so if you're ever in a pickle, we'll just call it, if you're ever in a pickle and all of a sudden a problem pops up and you could feel yourself getting annoyed, you can feel yourself getting frustrated, or you don't know what's the best way to handle the situation. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, listen, I don't want to work towards a solution at this exact moment because I don't know exactly what the best solution is. Is it okay if we get back together after I can think this through? Would that be okay with you? I just don't want to say something I would regret, and I also don't want to give you bad advice or give you bad information. And so would it be okay if we get back together maybe tomorrow or the next day and I can give you some proper counseling on this, or we can work through this together? Does that work for you? I want to work through this with you. I want to make sure that this relationship stays strong, but I can't do that if I can't take some time to think about the best way to go about it. Would you be okay with that? There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, what it's going to do is it's going to allow everyone's emotions to die down. You can seek mentorship, seek guidance, get the best way to handle the situation, go in, fix the situation, and move on and move forward. So once again, if you want to handle people problems in a better way, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, can we deal with this another day? So that way you could take a breather, and during that breather, go seek advice, go seek mentorship, and go seek guidance. So that was number 2. Number 3, I want to encourage you to operate above the line. And you've probably heard me talk about this throughout the podcast or YouTube or even on social media before, but it's just so important. Above the line means you're thinking with the solution in mind. Below the line means you're operating emotionally and you are being reactive. If you want to deal with people problems or any problem in a positive way. You have to stay in a solution-oriented state of mind. You have to stay above the line when it comes to your emotions. And so what I always like to do is I like to ask myself questions. The quality of a leader will be determined by the quality of questions they ask themselves. The quality of a business will be determined by the quality of questions they ask themselves. So when a situation pops up and maybe there's a people problems going on, I'll always ask myself, is what I'm about to say and is the action that I'm about to take going to get us closer to the solution? Yes or no? And if the answer to that question is no, I don't speak and I don't act. And am I perfect at this? Absolutely not. But I cannot tell you how many relationships I've saved, how many valuable assets to our business that I've saved simply by holding my tongue, making sure that I'm operating above the line. And I didn't just speak to get my emotions out. I just didn't speak to feel heard, but I spoke to get us closer to a solution where everyone wins. So I'm always asking myself, hey, is what I'm about to say and is the action I'm about to take going to get us closer to the solution? Yes, take action. No, refrain from executing. Number 4, do not judge. Do not judge. As someone who's in leadership, you are going to hear about more problems and more skeletons in closets than anyone else because all problems roll up. I know about every problem, or at least the majority of problems that go on in our organization, and the people encountering the problem don't even know that I know about the problem. But it's just the reality of being in leadership. And so as a leader, you cannot judge, because when somebody feels judged, they will disconnect from the culture, they will disconnect from the environment, and that will lead to them no longer being in the environment. Don't get me wrong. If there's something that they're doing that is cancerous, that you want them out of the environment, that's a different story. If there's a moral or ethical thing going on and you want them out of the environment, that's a different story. But there's going to be mistakes that happen. People make mistakes. That's what makes them people. That's what makes them human. And if you judge them for their mistakes, if you judge them for their shortcomings, if you judge them for maybe who they used to be in the past versus who they're trying to be today, it's going to affect your ability to lead them, A, but B, it's going to affect whether or not they feel welcomed being in your environment. I want to make sure that people feel welcomed being in our environment. And I want to make sure that people know that it's okay to make a mistake as long as you get better and you are genuinely apologetic for that mistake. It's very important. I've been wronged, and I've also been wronged by people that didn't even try to wrong me. They just made a mistake, and I was willing to have a conversation. We fixed it, and I didn't judge them even though I was put in a bad spot, and that made them feel comfortable coming back to me later on down the road. If you emotionally blow things out of the water, people will stop coming to you. It's true. You know, in leadership, if I see you respond emotionally versus above the line, like I talked about a second ago, but if I see you respond emotionally to a problem, to a person, whatever it might be, what that tells me is that the problem is bigger than you. And if the problem is bigger than you, then I can no longer come to you for that size of a problem anymore. And I will lose trust in you as the leader. So as a leader, it is so important that not only we don't get emotional and take everything personally, it's not only important that we operate above the line, it's also very important that we don't judge, because that's going to lead to people not wanting to bring other things to you. Because if they always feel that you're going to judge them for their mistake or judge them for what they do wrong, they're going to start avoiding you and they're not going to bring things to you when in reality you really could help. I think one of the reasons that I have such strong relationships with so many people in our organization is because they know I'm never going to judge them. I'm never going to judge them. And one of the reasons is, and I'm not perfect, by the way, in any capacity, and I hope everybody knows that, but one of the reasons I don't judge them, you know, there's a verse in the Bible that says, he who has not sinned, throw the first stone. I've made mistakes. I've also had people ridicule me for those mistakes. I've tried, and I've had people ridicule me for not succeeding. Do you think I want to create that type of environment in my environment? No, I don't want people to be afraid to try. I don't want people to be afraid to make a mistake. What I do want is people to try, make a mistake. And as long as they were doing things with all the integrity in the world, we will work through it and we will get better and we will improve. So it's very, very important that you do not judge. Number 5, give people the benefit of the doubt. Give people the benefit of the doubt. So important. If somebody brings you something, there's 2 sides to every story, and then there's the truth. Let me say it again. There's 2 sides to every story, and then there's the truth. And so if you judge and just assume the worst based off a rumor or based off something that somebody said, and you do not give them the benefit of the doubt versus accusing them of doing something wrong, you are going to lose trust with that person. And it's going to make that person not want to build a relationship with you anymore because they're going to say, wow, you didn't trust me. You just assumed that I was that bad of a person, or you assumed that I did this, or you assumed that I said that. How about you give me a chance to explain? How about you give me a chance to rebuttal what was said about me? And so you always have to give people the benefit of the doubt until proven guilty. And so when somebody brings me a problem, right, and I need to address it, I'll say, listen, this was brought to my attention, and I just wanted to hear your perspective on it. What was it that led to this? Is this what happened? Did something else happen? I just want to hear your side of the story because I always know there's two sides of the story. So can you explain to me what happened? And I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm not going to go in judging them. I'm not going to go in and hit them over the head with the metaphor, bat. I'm going to allow them to explain to me what happened. And then, if they did something wrong, then we got to work through it. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not going to just assume the worst, because if I assume the worst, there's been many times where I've been wrong, where I went in, I assumed the worst. Hey, you can't believe you did this. And they're like, well, I did this because of X, Y, and Z. And I felt like an absolute idiot, and I felt like a dummy, and I lost the respect and the trust of that individual. So whatever you do, give people the benefit of the doubt. Number 6, allow people to fix problems all on their own. There's a lot of problems that I'm involved in that nobody knows I'm involved in, because people bring me the problem. And instead of me going and solving the problem for them, I teach them how to solve the problem all on their own. And let me explain. Let's say I have Bob and I have Jessica. And let's say Jessica comes to me and said, hey, I have a problem with Bob. If I go address Bob for Jessica, Bob is now going to believe that Jessica's been talking bad about him behind his back, and he's not going to like her anymore, which means that he's not going to want to be in business with her anymore, which means that we now have friction and division within the business. Not good. So if Jessica brings me a problem, I'm going to say, listen, Jessica, any chance you spoke to Bob about this? And she goes, no, I wanted to bring it to you first so you can help me go handle it. Well, Jessica, what I want to make sure is that you and Bob have a strong relationship. And so what I would like you to do is I would like you to go address this with Bob, and I will now teach Jessica how to handle the conversation with Bob. So that way I can teach her how to work through it with Bob. So that way I can make sure that their relationship stays strong. And so oftentimes I will encourage the situation. I will help manufacture the solution, but I will stay out of it so Bob doesn't even know I've been in the picture. What this does is it keeps their relationship strong. It keeps unity within the hierarchy. It keeps trust between me and Jessica, and it keeps trust between Jessica and Bob. So allow people to work things out on their own, but then help them do it so that way they do it in the right way. Because if Jessica comes at Bob with all these emotions, that's not good either. I got to coach Jessica how to have a conversation with Bob, the best way to go about it, what to say, how I would approach it, and then what's the best way to work towards a solution. So I teach her how to operate above the line. And once again, what that's doing is not only solving that problem, but it's teaching Jessica how to solve problems in the future, and it's teaching Jessica how to be a leader to her people later on down the road. Oftentimes when a leader is insecure and feels needed, they'll go solve problems for people. And by trying to solve problems for people, they create bigger problems for the environment, which is not good. Number 7, do not overreact. Calm is contagious. Calm is contagious. I mentioned this before, and I just want to mention it one more time. If you bring me a problem and I emotionally respond to that problem, or I overreact, or I blow up, you are now going to believe that that problem is bigger than me, and you are no longer going to come to me for leadership anymore. That's not good. Not good even a little bit. I need to make sure that you always know that I'm bigger than the problem that you're bringing to me, which means that I cannot overreact. I got to stay calm, because calm is contagious. People like to follow somebody that's steady Eddie. If I don't know what I'm going to get with you, whether it's going to be up, it's going to be down, it's going to be crazy, it's going to be calm, it's going to be nuts. If I don't know what I'm going to get with you, then I'm going to stop bringing things to you. But if you know every time you come to me with a problem, I'm going to be calm, I'm going to be collected, and we're going to work towards a solution, you now feel comfortable bringing me problems in the future. If I blow things out of the water every time, you're not going to come to me for problems anymore. And that affects my ability to lead you. And that affects my ability to help you. So always remember, do not overreact. Calm is contagious. People want to do business with people who are not too high on the highs. They're not too low on the lows, because they know reality is somewhere in between. Work with the solution in mind. Stay, once again, above the line. Last but not least, number 8, handle it, disconnect, move on, and never talk about it again. Let me say that just one more time. Handle it, disconnect, move on, and never talk about it again. If I want to put out a fire, what's the best way to put out a fire? You suck the oxygen out of it. You suck the oxygen out of it. If I want a fire to eventually burn out, do I keep throwing logs in the fire? Absolutely not. Well, every time somebody hears about the problem, you're throwing a log in the fire. Every time somebody talks about the problem, you're throwing a log in the fire. Every single time a new person gets brought into the problem, you're throwing more and more logs into the fire. The more logs that are in that fire, the harder it is to put out. So if I want to suck the oxygen out of the fire, I need to make sure that nobody's talking about it. I got to make sure that nobody's bringing it up. And I got to make sure that gossip is not spreading. So when things do pop up, number one, I will never tell anyone about it. Why? Because if I tell someone about it and their personal information gets out, they no longer trust me because I've been talking about their personal information. And then B, whoever I talk about their personal information to no longer trusts me because I'm telling them about someone else's personal information. So now they're thinking, can I trust you with stuff because you just told me their stuff? That's not good. So number one, it creates doubt in me if I'm talking about these problems with other people that are not associated with the problem. That's number one. But number two, the more I talk about something, the bigger it gets. And so what I'm always trying to do is keep people from talking about it. So after we address something, I say, hey, listen, guys, I want to make sure that we handle this, we address it, but we cannot bring it up ever again. I don't want you talking to your spouse about it. I don't want you talking to your friends about it. I don't want you to talk to your other peers about it. We cannot talk about this ever again. Let's talk about it. We'll come up with a solution. We'll address it. We'll fix it, but we can never talk about it again because the more we talk about it, the more it will continue to spread and the worse it gets. Problems and gossip are like wildfires in an environment. And so if you want to keep your environment strong, you got to keep those things from happening. Got to keep those things from happening. So we covered 8 things that's going to help you become better with people and solve people problems. Hopefully you apply them. And I want you to circle, which 8 do I need to work on the most? Which one of the 8 or which 5 out of the 8 or maybe all 8? I can work on all 8 and get better still to this day in every category. I am able to train on this because of my own experiences and things that I've done wrong and maybe some of the things that I've also done right. And so hopefully you got some value out of today. I think any person in a leadership role or any person that plans on being in a leadership role needs to hear what I just talked about. And so do me a favor. If you got something out of today, can you tell somebody about it? Can you send them the link on podcast or the YouTube or whatever, wherever you're watching this? Can you just have them watch it too? The more people that we have in this world that can handle people problems better, the more united our world gets. And that's our end goal. Can we unite the world? Can we leave this world better than we found it? And can we spread the good news? I do all this for free, all this complimentary. All I ask that if you ever get value, you tell people about it, you subscribe, you like it, you give me a referral, you comment on the YouTube or whatever it is, good review. We just ask that you do it because it helps us grow and scale. So with that being said, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. God bless you guys. And we'll see you guys next week. Let's get it.